Howdy folks, I'm going to take you through how to approach and solve NCEA style chemistry questions for the thermochemistry topic. Here's one about electron configurations and trends. I'm just going to take you through how I would approach solving this. This is from No Brain Too Small. I believe this is the 2016 question in the electron configuration section. So, first part, question A, complete the following tables of a couple of atom and ion symbols and their electron configuration. First one, chlorine, pretty simple, refer to your periodic table and fill in all of your electron shells. And it should look something like this: 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5. So we've got to fill in each shell before we move on to the next one. So our first S shell has got the 2 electrons in it, our second S shell also 2 electrons, and then our first P shell, 2p6, has 6 electrons and onwards. Then we have got zinc. Zinc is going to start with the electron configuration for argon, plus, in addition to that, 3d10 and a 4s2. And then a chromium 3 plus ion is going to be exactly the same as chromium, plus with 3 fewer electrons in it. And those are going to go be removed from the highest electron level downwards, with a few exceptions. So, chromium 3 plus has got 3 fewer electrons than regular chromium does, but it starts with the electron configuration for argon. Next, we have got explain why the radius, ooh, that's a typo on their part, why the radius of the chlorine atom and the radius of the chlorine ion are different. And they show you the radius right here. Chlorine atom's got a radius of 99, chlorine ion's got a radius of 181. It's almost twice as big. And the way I would approach this is by using your knowledge of the trends in atom and ion radius to work out how or why one of these is going to be bigger than the other. You know that chlorine ion is bigger than chlorine atom. It's a negative ion, so it has more electrons in it. And based on that and your knowledge, you know that the chlorine atom gains 1 electron to complete its valence shell to form the Cl- ion. So you're working the same valence shell as you would be for the atom, but the nuclear charge remains the same. The nuclear charge is the same for the atom and the ion, same number of protons. The increased inter-electron repulsion in the outer energy level causes the valence electrons to move further from the nucleus. By that we mean there are more electrons, each of them with a negative charge, in the valence shell, and those negative charges repel each other, causing the electrons to be further apart, making the radius bigger. And so the Cl- ion is larger than the Cl atom. Once again, you know which one's bigger. It tells you right here. You just need to explain why that is, and the reason is difference between nuclear charge and the what's happening with the electrons in the outer valence energy shells. Okay, last one. Explain the factors influencing the trends in electronegativity and first ionization energy down a group of the periodic table, group being a column. In your answer, you should define both electronegativity and first ionization energy, explain the trend in both electronegativity and first ionization energy down a group, and compare the trend in electronegativity and first ionization energy down a group. So that seems like a lot, but it actually tells you how to answer the question. If you do nothing more than just walk down the bullet points, you can't go too far wrong. So it says, define both electronegativity and first ionization energy. Your answer better dang well include a definition of both electronegativity and first ionization energy. Then it wants you to explain the trend in both electronegativity and first ionization energy down a group. So explain. You know what the trend is. It's part of the content we covered earlier this year, but you need to explain why that is the case. So probably close to your definition of electronegativity, I would explain why it trends the way that it does within a group. And then same for first ionization energy. And then, once you've defined and explained, compare them. When something says compare, they want to know whether that is doing the same thing or a different thing, and what relationship they have to each other. You should be using words like therefore, or so, or because, that sort of thing. You should be comparing. This is the answer from the book. I've underlined the definitions. Electronegativity decreases down a group. Electronegativity is a measure of how strongly an atom attacks bonding electrons. That is a definition of electronegativity. And then first ionization energy is a measure of how easily the first mole of electrons is removed from 1 mole of gaseous atoms. That is a definition of first ionization energy. We saw back here that we need to define both of those things. Answer includes the definition. Then, up here, they go on to explain the trend of electronegativity down a group. So the atomic radius increases down a group. The bonding electrons in the valence shell will be further from the positive nucleus, resulting in a weaker electrostatic attraction with the nucleus and the bonding electrons, which means the electronegativity decreases down a group. First ionization energy becomes easier to remove an electron down the group because the valence electrons are further away and have greater repulsion and shielding from inner shells. So there is less attraction between protons and the electrons, and it's easier to remove them. So for both electronegativity and first ionization energy, the attraction between positive nucleus and the bonding valence electrons in the outer shell is decreasing down a group. The attraction is decreasing, but that means that the electronegativity and first ionization energy decrease. So definition here and here, explain down a group, here for electronegativity, here for ionization energy, and then compare. This last one down right here. It tells you what it wants. Define, explain, compare. Usually with these 3 bullet point questions, the define equates generally to an achieved mark, the explain generally equates to a merit mark, and the compare generally equates to an excellence mark. And obviously for excellence you have to have the merit and achieved as well. Alright, that's it. Please let me know if you have any questions. I am posting this on Teams late, sorry.